I did my server hardware tour. I do it every year. I usually break it up into 2 pieces. And so this last one was the hardware tour, where I walked through all of the stuff that I've kind of changed over the last couple of years in my home lab. I think it turned out pretty good. Thank you so much. There was a ton of views on it. I do appreciate it. And thank you so much for sharing it with your friends too. I noticed a lot of new commenters on that video, so I appreciate it. Or people who said they never heard of me. Thank you so much for sharing it. Slack, Teams, Discord. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, because that really helps when you share it with people who have never seen me before. Obviously, the people who know who I am, they might get it from the algorithm, but getting new people in the algorithm helps a lot, and it really helped on this last video. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I know it looks kind of fancy, but I just want to also let you know that, man, it didn't start that way. And if you've been here for a long time, I think my first tour, like, it was just a pile of stuff on top of a workbench, and I finally got a rack, and the other half of the stuff was screwed onto a piece of plywood that was screwed into a brick wall. So it's been a long time coming, and don't think like, hey, you know, yours looks pretty fancy and clean, that yours has to. It obviously doesn't. To each his own. But I just want to make that clear. Mine started out, I should share it sometime if you don't remember. Mine was, my fancy wall of tech was a piece of plywood that I painted, and then I screwed everything in with wood screws with a Cisco switch. Yeah. So anyways, I appreciate you guys showing up for that video, because that is awesome. It's been a good year. It's been a good year for sure. So I appreciate it. So thank you. Yeah, and I got some more coming. I'll be walking through the software. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. I usually do, you know, all the services that I'm self-hosting, but I'm thinking of mixing in architecture too. So I have a little bit of homework before this video, because usually I could just wing it. If someone's like, hey, show me your architecture, I'm like, yeah, turn the camera on, let's walk through it. But I think I want to diagram it a little bit, because that's been coming up too. Is like, people can understand what I'm using, but not how it all fits together. And so I want to do some diagrams so that when I talk about the things, you can understand, oh, you know, these services live, you know, on these 3 machines, or it's inside of Kubernetes and it's in this cluster, versus me saying, you know, calling off my host names and you not understanding what the heck I'm talking about. So I got a little bit of homework. I've been working on it, and going to try to make this one a little bit more visual, so you guys can understand rather than me talk about the stuff I'm using. Because that's kind of not easy to figure out. But if you follow along, you kind of know what I'm using. So, okay, let's get into chat, and I'll stop blabbing about myself, and let's talk about you guys. Let's see what you're up to. Yeah, Stream Hype. Thank you again so much. Stream Elements just started posting that in there. I get it, but they're doing a little advertising, which is totally fine. But yeah. Anyways, drawing is good. Hey, I agree. Drawing is good. I agree. Drawing is good. I like drawing. I used to draw a lot when I was younger. Little probably unknown tip. When I was in middle school, I won a drawing contest in 7th grade to design our yearbook cover. But I actually lost because I didn't follow the rules, and I made it landscape instead of portrait. That was loud. I keep having to tell myself that alert needs to change. But I ended up, I won first place, but I lost because I didn't follow the rules, and I made the yearbook cover landscape instead of portrait. So someone else won. No, Yes. Yeah, that was it. And so anyways, then because of that, they gave me the inside of the yearbook cover because they told me I won. So anyways, I agree, drawing is good. Sorry. I enjoy drawing too. It's been a while. Mr. EUS, hi Tim, really enjoyed your latest tour video. Thank you. Will you also cover key software portion? Yeah, what project you are most looking forward to in 24? Yeah, so I just covered that. I am absolutely going to cover software. I'm going to add in architecture too, because I think architecture is just as important as the software you run. So not only what I'm running, how I run it, where it lives, and why it lives there. I think I'm going to cover that. And I think I'm going to cover my network architecture too, which I feel like at some point I should just break my network architecture out in some other video, but I'm going to put it in this one. So the next one is going to be super long. It's going to be a deep dive into stuff. Might go 30 minutes. Who knows? It's just going to be as long as it needs to be. And then if it starts to get too long, or I see that people tune out for the network stuff or vice versa, I'll break it out. But yes, I am going to go into it. I am going to cover software that I run. I am going to cover my server architecture and services architecture. And then I'm also going to cover my network architecture too, because I think that's just as important because I want everybody to see the whole picture. What it runs on, you guys saw yesterday. What runs on it, you'll see probably next. I need to get it done before the end of the year. I start running out of time and hustling towards the end of the year. I know December is kind of, I don't want to say easy content, but it's like, okay, like I know I'm going to do, I'm going to do my hardware. I know I'm going to do my software, and I know I'm going to try to slip another one in there. And I know I got to travel for the holidays, so I might try to do some kind of travel content too. That's my December. It's actually pretty fun. So. It's fun having that planned out. It's never like that. But then going back to your other question, what projects are you most looking forward to in 24? Well, I did mention during that video that I was thinking about a co-location. There's a local company that's doing that does co-location for some folks, and they offered me some space in the rack. So I'm thinking about doing that. We've talked a few times. I kind of committed to it. And I just need to make sure they're still okay with it. And so I'm really looking forward to that because that's it's totally different. I'm going to have to get, my 3 1U servers, clean them up, get them in a colo, figure out how to manage them 100% hands off. Think of all the edge cases, what could go wrong, what might go wrong. Make sure that my services are HA, living in someone else's data center. Worst case scenario, I could drive to the data center, but I don't want to do that. I want to treat this like it's somewhere locked up in a lockbox. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to some of the challenges, and looking forward to what you guys say about it, because some of you do this as a profession. I don't. This is like my hobby. On the software side, yeah, I can make software highly available, but making hardware run highly available and having services highly available is not my forte. It's kind of what I do for fun. So, but I'd love to get some feedback from you all once I release that. I'll release one prior to. And maybe I'll ask you guys some questions that I have around, like, how can I make this better? So I'm looking forward to that. Xavius, Mernin. I'm going with Gladoctor. No, Gladder. I'm going with Gladder. Hey, how's it going? Untouched Wagons is always DNS. It is, isn't it? Drawing is good. How to switch my career to DevOps? I know Linux, Ansible, and some Terraform and Docker. You're there. No, that's a tough one. How do you switch to DevOps? It depends on what role you're in now. If you're in IT now, it's a much easier hop, right? If you're not in IT, that's a more challenging hop, and you might have to take like an intermediate step to get there. Like, hey, do some operations type role to then get into DevOps, or do some developer type role to then move your way into DevOps. It's hard to go 2 hops in IT. I mean, maybe unless you have made a name for yourself and you have a lot to show for yourself professionally and publicly, it's hard to go 2 hops. And what I mean by 2 hops is, like, maybe you need to break into IT and then you become DevOps. But if you're not in IT, going straight to DevOps, that might be kind of challenging. So you might have to do the short hop first, which would be somewhere in an operations role or support type role. Prove yourself, and then either get promoted or lateral or whatever you want to call it. But if you're already in IT, I think it's, for me, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. For me, it was just building a good rapport and a good relationship with people, and kind of always doing the right thing. That's how it worked out for me. Doing the right thing, build a good rapport, kind of show your stuff in public. I'm not saying show off, but have a GitHub profile or something you can have publicly where you can say, I did that. That's what I'm interested in. I'd love to walk you through it sometime. And then it's marketing yourself too. If there are roles open in your organization and you know about them, go for it, apply for it, do it, and have your portfolio, quote unquote, GitHub or something else ready to show them. And even if it's not open, set up a one-on-one with that manager or that director and say, hey, here are the things I'm interested in. Here are the things that I'm doing. This is what I would love to do. Do you have, 20 minutes? I could walk you through some of the stuff I'm interested in. I think that people really like that. If you're not even in the organization, even harder, right? And so I think that if you're not even in the organization where you can do that, then you're going to have to do a lot of cold calling type stuff. And what I mean by cold calling and cold sales is getting on LinkedIn and making connections with those people at the organization you want to get connected to, and then trying to get on their schedule to show them something. Or a recruiter. Recruiters kind of work both ways. They're supposed to have you and the organization's best interest in mind when recruiting. So if you're looking for a specific company, find those recruiters and do the same thing. That was a lot of advice. I hope it works, but I hope it works out for you. I think there's a lot in there you can unpack, and hopefully that gave you some ideas. Techno, real quick, there was a Prime sub. Sigor, how's it going, man? 33 months. Let's go. Prime sub, Sigor. Thank you so much. Hanging lights and talking tech. All right. I just bought some smart outlets for our front lights. Can't wait to get them into Home Assistant. That is awesome. I'm super jealous. I love lights. Especially LED. I love smart stuff, and I love Home Assistant. So that's like covering a lot of ground, a lot of the things that I love. So pretty awesome. Thanks again for the continued support. Good luck on the lights. Don't hurt yourself. Back to here, working on a home HDMI setup. Working on whole home HDMI setup. Want my devices shoved into the server rack and accessible from 2 TVs. That is awesome. I think you have a couple of routes. You could do HDMI over IP, maybe. Pretty expensive. HDMI over wireless too. But then there's this thing I recently learned about too. That's HDMI over not Ethernet, over Cat6, basically over copper, but not using IP. So no layers in the stack, just using the physical copper to do it. That I just learned about too. I saw it on YouTube. It got recommended to me, and I was like, this is pretty awesome. I hope you figure it out. That sounds awesome. That's kind of the dream too, is to basically centralize. It has been for me. Centralize basically all of your equipment, and then just have dumb terminals everywhere. I mean, that's what I would love to do. I would love to have, my Xbox like that, my one Apple TV like that, right? Instead of buying multiple Apple TVs or whatever you use to consume media. Be nice to have one, and then do it all over IP. And it's like, oh, great. Now I just need dongles on my TVs so I can switch. IP would be the best, me personally, I think. But if not IP, it would still be nice to have it centrally located, so that you can have one of each device, have it all centralized, especially in your server rack, and then just make all your TVs super dumb and switch inputs. That'd be awesome. I mean, you have dongles on the TV, obviously. You need to run the Cat, I'll say Cat6, but for lack of a better term for all cabling. You need some RJ45 cabling to do it, and some dongles. This sounds awesome. Dude, really quick, D. Panesso, how's it going? Hey, Tim, how's everything going? 37 months. Let's go. Tier 1. Thank you so much. Dude, 3 years, 1 month. Thank you, D. Panesso. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. It's good. Good time of year. Content schedule's going good. Last video is doing good, so I'm good. Can't complain. Wife and I just celebrated our anniversary last night, too, so that was awesome. Except for I ate way too much food and went to bed a little bit early, and that combination of those two things, my stomach just gets messed up. So, but yeah, other than that, doing great. And then going to eat tons of food with lots of friends tonight too. So I feel like, but yeah, should be awesome. Dude, Cyber Knight, thank you so much. 23 months, tier 1. Thank you so much, Cyber Knight. How's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for the continued support. Almost 2 years. Thanks, Cyber Knight. Appreciate it. Stream height, let's go. Piece of geek, it's always DNS. It is, isn't it? Let's see. Drawing is good. It's quite difficult to learn CI/CD pipelines myself at home and put them on my resume and land DevOps chat. Yeah, kind of stuck in a sysadmin role. Yeah. So do it in public. Do it in public then. build code in public. That's what I would say. Is depending on what your organization uses. We talked about this a little bit. Now you're focusing on. Now that answers a couple of questions. So yeah, I know you're kind of in role. So this would be one hop for you, not two hops. I would say do it in public. Do it on GitHub. Do it in GitLab, and do it publicly. Have some code. Build it, ship it somewhere publicly, because that's a lot easier to show and rerun and send to someone though too, and then on top of that you get to learn GitHub Actions, right? Your org, or a lot of orgs use GitHub, a lot of orgs use GitLab. So I would set it up in both and say, hey, I've done both. And I would take a simple code project, simple hello world, build that code project, build a container, store that container in a registry, ship it to something in Kubernetes, and then, and then show it end to end, and build that out for 2 environments. Do it once for GitLab, once for GitHub, and then show it off. Then you got to start marketing yourself. Weekend is dedicated to building a new colo router and start planning for what I want for YWS in 2024. All right, YWS Yocto. Yeah, that is awesome. So you're building a new colo router and starting planning for what I want in YWS in 2024. So Yocto, he is definitely running YWS. Yocto's web services out there in the Pacific Northwest. He's got pretty awesome racks in his garage. You should check it out. But that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, he did call it YWS too. Yeah, I like it. Lesser Train. Woot. My weekend so far has been yelling upstairs at the that the internet is going down as I try to get pfSense hooked up. Discord is helping out. Oh, I know that. I know that very well. And I have to do that now. So if you're not, I assume you're working on the internet. Your home depends on the internet. And right before you do something and make a change, you're like, the internet is going down really quick, so that you warn people ahead of time. I've been there many times. I usually have to say to my wife, internet's going to be down 5 minutes at the most, or 30 seconds. Now I have to give pretty accurate descriptions of length of time for how long it's going to go down. Because sometimes you just need to reboot something. Sometimes I need to move a cable. Sometimes I have to switch, whatever. But I've been there, and it's always good to give them the heads up first. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, but telling them it's going down is not permission. So I'm on board with that. Xavius D, I finally got my A10 server. I finally got my A10 in the server, but got to work on the resume and job apps today, tomorrow. Hey man, yeah, you getting back in the job market, switching jobs? Pretty awesome. But you got your A10 in there? That is awesome. I'm sure you could fill your resume with all of the stuff you do. I mean, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know Xavier's D, he's always wheeling and dealing. He knows a ton about servers, a ton about hardware. He knows a lot about ZFS too. I think, maybe a year ago, I don't think he knew as much as he did about ZFS. Now, I'm consulting with him and talking with a few others about how to do storage layout, and this guy's got it down. So you learned a ton, and I wouldn't sell yourself short when you're filling out that resume. ZFS expert, all the way. Put that on there, and they'll be like, "What is ZFS?" And you could just be like, "How much time you got?" You know what I mean? Put those things on there. Bill Mayer, currently looking at OpenBao, a fork of HC Vault. So HC Vault, HashiCorp Vault. That HashiCorp Vault changed their license. Yeah, going to cost them the support of the community. I agree. That one felt like a burn too, because they switched to like a business open source license. I forget what it's called, but a little bit different than what Red Hat did. And this one, I agree. It's it kind of rubbed the community the wrong way. For anyone using them as like their vendor, like if they're actually paying for it, I don't think it means much for them. I mean, as far as licensing goes, but for the open source community, yeah, meant a ton for sure. And so now we have a lot of spin-offs for sure. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough climate right now, I will say, on both sides. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to go into it, but I mean, they need to make money, and they must not have been making money, and someone else must have been making their money, so they decided to change it. All speculation, of course, but that's usually how it goes. It's like, you know, people start to get like, hey, we built that thing. Why is someone else taking it? You know, it usually gets like that, and that's where it gets kind of weird. Mr. Technician, currently at a Christmas program practice setting up camera angles. Awesome. Sounds like something for either for a show or for church, but sounds awesome. So you do some AV stuff too, so that is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I wish I kind of had some of that experience in my background, not my zero of that experience, just what I do on YouTube. I wish I would have had some of that in my background before getting started. Probably would have went a little bit faster. Yakto, are you happy with it so far? Well, with the A10, I think he picked that up from you. Takano, so far I've gotten 4 in 2 out of HDMI Matrix for $20, controlling it via HAS with a Broadlink. Yeah, RM4 Mini. Same goes for the dumb TV, just controlling it using an RM4 Mini. Hey, awesome. Yeah, huge fan of Broadlink. I have 2 in here. That's how I control those lights down there. I should control more, but if you're not familiar with Broadlink devices, there are these little, would show you, but it's not. That's so loud. I need to stop mentioning my lights because every time I do that, if you change the lights, you see that little animation, and only I can hear that animation, and it is loud. Anyways, so if you're not familiar with Broadlink devices, it's pretty awesome. It's a little IoT device. It basically makes anything with infrared smart. So if you have a infrared remote to change the TV or to change lights or to turn on and off some things, or if you have something that's radio controlled, like my ceiling fan up there, the Broadlink RM4, I think the Pro can control both. Mini might too, but it basically gives you, it turns all of your RF and IR stuff smart, which is pretty cool. It's basically taking something that's analog and kind of making it digital. So they're awesome devices. I think they're awesome. They work with Home Assistant. I wrote a lot of custom code against them too to get my lights going. As you can see, that's not really working right now, but I know why. That's Kubernetes, not this, and it's my own architecture's fault. Maybe you'll find out about my architecture here in my next video, but they're pretty cool devices. Super cheap too. Super cheap. I love them. I have 2. Yakto, it is not being used yet. Hopefully this week. Get SF running on it. SF. I know it's probably something to do with AI or imaging. Takano, other TV has an IP control since it's smart TV. Working on it. Yeah. I wish I could buy more smart TVs. I know. I'm sorry. I wish I could buy more dumb TVs. I know a dumb TV is just a monitor, but it's not the same. You know, not the same. Yay Stream, currently working on Paperless, scanning a lot of documents. Awesome. I hear so many good things, Zendi, about Paperless. I should look at it at some point in time. My Paperless is take a picture with my phone, which... Oh, it's starting to help. I was going to say it doesn't really help because it doesn't have OCR, but now phones are starting to do the OCR thing, but it doesn't index it anywhere. I guess it indexed it in my phone, but then I can't search it easily. I have to have my phone. So I should look at Paperless too. There's a handful of things. It's usually the most important things that still come in paper. I'm talking like mortgage stuff. Not tax stuff. Mine doesn't. Some tax stuff, right? Some tax stuff, you know, a lot of companies are still obligated to send you a physical copy of stuff. So it's there for sure, and it's still important. Scotch, how's it going? Yo from St. Louis, STL in the house. How's it going? Yeah, good to see you from Twin Cities. Good to see you. Let me know if you find anything for me. I missed the top because there are so many chats now. It's cutting off my thing, so I got to speed it up. So I missed the first piece of that, so I apologize. Real quick, P Toughnay. I'm going with P Toughnay. Thanks for follow, appreciate it. And Subtron 1K, thanks for follow, appreciate it. Blade, got to take my new mini storage server apart again. Oh, that was in your sub. Yeah, man. I hope it goes okay. Yeah, you'll figure it out. But that is hot. That is hot. Sniper Games, how's it going? Good to see you. MDT, Grease Monkey, ta-da. Glader. I'm going Glader. That's what I'm going with. Hey, do you do the Advent of Code? I just learned about it this year and it's quite fun. I don't. I've considered it before. I've even considered doing just the 100 days of code. So I don't. I should at some point. I should. I think maybe next year. That's the tough thing with the advent of code. It's only during advent season, which is now, which is December. So nope, didn't. I missed it. I have a ton of projects going on right now. It's really tough for me to add one more project. If somehow I could combine that into content too, that would be awesome. And maybe next year, we'll see. But no, I hope you enjoy it. I do see a lot of people talking about it on Twitter and socials in general, Mastodon. I think it's great. I think it's a good initiative to get people introduced to code, and maybe those who are already doing code introduced to other code. So yeah, it's awesome. Gonna be rebuilding my NAS yet again to try to save on some power. That is awesome. Been there. I've been there too. I mean, I'm kind of doing that right now. Funny enough, I'm adding more hard drives, which sounds like more power, which it will be more power. But I'm gonna do the thing that everyone says not to do and spin down some of my hard drives when they're not being used. Why am I going to do that? Because, 18 hours out of the day, my NAS is not doing much. But I'll probably talk about it. I'm thinking about doing another TrueNAS video, just kind of talking through like some of the challenges I've had with HL15, how I solved them. Kind of just be more encompassing, not necessarily a tutorial, but talking about my storage layout and ways that I solved it. But what I've been doing is I have two pools right now. One pool is basically backing up. It's the replication pool to back up the other pool. And that pool is the pool that I have spin down after 5 minutes because it only runs the replication task at night. So I was like, okay, why have these drives spin for 23 hours a day when they only have one job that lasts about 20 minutes every day? So I think that's what I'm going to do. I've already applied it. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it though, but yeah. Ansible AWX. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Plan is to go, let me know how it goes on AWX. It's AWX and Tower. Yeah, it's can be tough to set up. Plan is to go for 12 drives down to 4 larger drives. Yeah, you'll save some power. Like I was just saying, when I did that quick test on HL15, it was kind of eye-opening that each drive, just spinning, not even reading or writing, just spinning, was using 8 to 10 watts. And if you do the math, 10 of those drives, you're at 100 watts just spinning, and so that's why I think buying what I used to do was I just bought a ton of HGSTs, 3 terabyte drives, and I'd fill up my NAS with it because they're like, oh, they're so cheap. And you get some added benefit because you have more spindles, right? But I wasn't even taking advantage of that anyway, so that wasn't even my argument. I was just like, they're so cheap. But but then you start to think, well, if I have 10 or 20 of those, that I could solve with 4 larger drives, that's a huge power saving. So yeah, I hear you, man. Getting the HDMI to the TVs from the rack is a bit more difficult, so I ordered a 1080p HDMI over Cat 6, and I'm giving that a shot right now. We'll most likely order some nicer units off Ali for a similar price. Sounds like such a fun project. LOL, I put all my stuff in HomeLab sales. It's up there. Take a gander and let me know if you see anything. Yeah, Xavier, he's always wheeling and dealing. I think that's what the LOL is for. Penguin Airlines. Dude, how's it going? Funny story. I was just thinking about you last night. It sounds weird, but I was like, because you pop in every now and then, and you were there in the beginning. So I'm always just like, randomly, I'll think of people or names, because I don't know people. I'll think of names, and I'll be like, I haven't seen them in a while. It's exactly what I was thinking last night. Haven't seen Penguin Airlines in a while last night. And I remember you just going all in with, I don't want to, it was kind of DevOps, but more on the Jira side. So, and you were switching roles, I think, last time I talked to you. Hope you're doing well. Funny, I promised I was thinking of you last night. Paperless Mocha. Sorry, I have to say it like that every time. Howdy, Tim. I've been moving all of my services over to Kate's cluster the last 2 weeks. I'm just about done with that, and now moving Nextcloud over to a new server, set up NFS for storage, and then migrate all the data over. Love it. Yeah, that is awesome. That sounds awesome. That hits a lot of high notes for me. Moving to Kubernetes, Yeah, I think that's a good idea if you want things highly available and want to learn Kubernetes. And then, yeah, moving Nextcloud over to new server. Yeah, that's one, that doesn't sound fun, but two, I think you got it down. If you've done Kubernetes stuff, yeah, moving that shouldn't be hard at all. Sounds like fun. I'm always curious how people handle the Nextcloud kind of HA type thing, and then if they go with a full-blown MySQL backend or SQL-ish backend or MySQL. And they always say, like, hey, if you're gonna have lots of users, and I wouldn't even say lots of users, lots of files, I would say. They say not to use MySQL, but curious. Or SQLite, I apologize. Scotch, I haven't done anything yet with my HomeLab. I need to re-rack, recable, and build it with Ansible. I can't force myself to break something that's working. I hear you. Wife acceptance factor, the WAF, is low to tear apart something that's working. I hear you. I hear you, Scotch. I go through that a lot. And sometimes I get to a point where I'm kind of like, if it's working, like, why spend the time into making it working a different way? Like, if you want to learn something, if that's what you're passionate about, sure, go for it. But sometimes I'm like, I want to learn the new stuff or do the new stuff versus redo the old stuff. But I think once you learn the new stuff and you start to apply it and get some kind of architecture going, and you just follow that pattern until it doesn't work anymore, that's I think that's totally fine too, depending on what the pattern is. But there's new patterns all the time. So, but I've been there. I have many skeletons in my closet like that, where I'm like, it's good enough for now. But usually I try to take care of those in around November, December. Around this time is where I'm starting, like, yep, I'm replacing this. Yep, I'm making this permanent. I'm changing this now. I'm giving away hardware that I'm not using anymore. So this is the time where I start to kind of, prep for next year. And part of that prep is making sure that I have a lot of my temporary hacks no longer temporary hacks unless I don't have a good solve for it yet. So, g'day, hey, how's it going? Let's see. So that is the PC gamer nerd. All right, that was all in Leet speak, so it's kind of hard to see, and you can't see it right now. If all my sensitive data will be stored in separate hard drives inside of my desktop with the most storage, is it necessary to encrypt my drive, or just only the drives with sensitive data on it? All the SSD will be doing is running services that are only for entertainment backup server. Personally, I would say, I'm just going to click off so we could see. Personally, I would say encrypt them all. And do the same thing you're going to do, because, like, why pick and choose? For me, I'm really big on consistency, right? I'm really big on consistency. And when I make a decision, especially about architecture stuff, man, a lot of architecture stuff talk today, but about architecture or some kind of applying some kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but applying, like encryption. How do I want to say this? Like, whenever I make a decision about technology, I try to stick with it for as long as I can. And so in my head, I think, am I going to encrypt drives? Yes, I am. I'm going to, because there are many reasons. One of the nice reasons too is, like, hey, you don't have to wipe it later. I mean, you should probably wipe it too, but if you encrypt your drive, you never have to wipe it because no one has your encryption key. But anyways, I would. And so I wouldn't pick and choose what I encrypt. I think the days of, like, the overhead that you pay, for encryption, it used to be a burden. Before solid states and stuff like that, you still pay a little bit of overhead, maybe 1% or something like that, for encrypting drives. But I would, because it's like, well, why not? Why not? If someone got that drive and opened it up, would you want them to see stuff? I know you say it's only services, it's only this stuff, but what if there's a password in there? What if there's a temp file? What if there's something that you stored there temporarily? So I'm kind of in the boat as, like, once I started, like, encrypting one drive, I encrypt them all. Yes, I encrypt my Windows drive, my OS drive. Absolutely, I do. Encrypt all the data drives. Every drive that's connected to it, I encrypt them. Because I'm like, why not? I have the technology to do it. The overhead is so low, and the benefits are so high. So like, why wouldn't I? And so I do. I will be honest, my NAS is still not, but as I move to this new pool, I'm encrypting all those drives. And that was a decision that I made way back, and I've been using the same pool, and you can't encrypt a pool later on TrueNAS. I think it's a ZFS thing. So I'll be honest, like, yeah, I didn't encrypt those drives. But I do, because it's like I said, like if you have the hardware and the technology to do it, and you have this sensibility and the know-how to do it, I would. Because then you don't ever have to think. This is what I was going back to. I try to conserve brain power. I try to conserve brain power. Might not seem like that because I talk about so many things. But once I make a decision, I don't want to like remake that decision again. And when it comes to drive encryption, in my head, I don't have to think, well, I do encrypt data drives, but I don't encrypt OS drives. But what if some data's on this? No, I don't play that game anymore. I just say in my head, nope, my decision is encrypt drives, and I never have to think about it again. So I'm really big on like, once I make a decision, not to make that decision again later. And I think that has to do with a lot of me, and like I get brain fatigue a lot. Like I get fatigued. I mean, you guys probably do too. I especially get it in coding and with a lot of different things in general. So I try to just think like, what are my values, I guess I should say, when it comes to technology. Drive encryptions, yes, okay, that's done. Solved it. Don't have to worry or think about it again. Same thing with, encrypting values for passwords, or encrypting data, sensitive data inside of databases. Yes. Encrypting backups. Yes. So I don't have to make that decision again. Probably a little rambling, but I think it's a good topic. And I encourage you, like, if you ever get like decision fatigue on like making these decisions over and over and over, and like making exceptions for a lot of things, I would just say like make less exceptions and just make it, add it to your core tendency, I guess I would say, to technology. And so that's only encryption, but you can apply that to a lot of things. And I try to do that. So I never have to figure out again, like, I just don't like making this same decision over and over and over and putting that brain power into it. I just think, yeah, and maybe I'm painting with a broad stroke, but sometimes for me, the broad stroke is a lot better than like just tweaking everything every time, because I get tired. My brain gets tired. Anyways, but yeah, I would... More of the story, encrypt everything. I'm sure someone said that in a lot less words, but now you know what goes on inside of my head and why sometimes I go off in tangents. I'm sorry, I'm clicking on stuff only because you guys chatted a lot, and for some reason this chat tool that I use only has limited space. And so I need to figure out, one, mute that alert that I get all the time, and two, how to extend my history on this tool that I use. Yakto, Crack Kitty is here, man. Anybody in here? I didn't see him speak yet because I got cut out. So there he is. Sup, Tim, and all the people. What's up, Crack Kitty? Good to see you. Get day. Hey, what mouse did you end up going with? Do you still use a Keychron Q3? Yeah, I use the Keychron Q3. I'm kind of scared to hold this up. Yeah, I do. 10 keyless. I love it. It weighs about 10 pounds. I love that too. I don't know why. I like my keyboards heavy. It will not move. The desk will fall over if I push on it before it moves. But yeah, I still use this Keychron keyboard. I love it. I've only had another mechanical keyboard before this, a DOS keyboard, one of the first like trendy, I guess, mechanical keyboards way back in the day. Some of those keys died, and I went with this, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of 10 keyless. Some people aren't, but I like the extra space so that my mouse is next to me. What mouse do I use? I'm still using this Razer Chroma. You can kind of see it. I can't pull it because my cords are tight, because I keep them tight. So that I can't pull them and they can't go anywhere else. But I still use a Razer Chroma. I'm open to different mouses. It's just this thing hasn't died and it works really well. And I can dynamically adjust the DPI right here because mine is like on the most like sensitive twitch mode ever, to where if you move it, 6 inches, you're going across 8K of real estate. So when my wife comes, it's easy for me to, adjust the DPI. But I love it. I'm totally open to different mice, I guess I will say. Open to different mice. I have considered wireless ones, but at the end of the day, I don't want to charge another thing. So that's kind of reason why I don't like wireless. But anyways, yeah, same stuff you saw in my studio or my desktop tour. If this one dies or gives me any kind of fits, I'm going to get rid of it real quick. But it's been working great. I've had this for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, I think. It's been great. No doubt. Scott, you think, yeah, of course, but I'm planning. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, of course, but I'm planning to use it just for Ceph traffic, maybe dedicated VLAN. Munzen Maftum. I have one mini PC installed Proxmox. There is Jellyfin on Proxmox server. It is published to the internet with Cloudflare Tunnel. Now I'm working on security. Awesome. I'm trying to understand firewall and networking. That is awesome. So you have one mini PC, Proxmox running on there, Jellyfish is running, and it's opened up to the public through a Cloudflare Tunnel. Good on you. That is awesome. And now you're working on security, trying to understand firewall and networking. I love it how you just went like straight to the internet and you're like, I'll figure out networking later. Don't short sell yourself. You figured out a ton of internet or networking already and firewalling to be able to do that. Now I get it. You're not going through, a traditional firewall or one that's in your environment, but you still got something hosted on the internet using Cloudflare tunnels, which arguably might be a little more confusing for some people. So don't sell yourself short. I think that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. Nice work. DMZ, etc. Okay, yeah. DMZ, etc. So I always want to say militarized zone. I think that's what it is. But yeah, awesome. Dude, thank you. Dude, Crack Kitty Pits. Party. 109 bits. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Piece of geek shame, yeah. on letting Crack Kitty in here. Yeah. Thanks, Crack Kitty. I appreciate it, man. I hope you're doing good. They couldn't rotate it. I do apologize. My stuff got cut off. Penguin Airlines. How's it going, man? Nerpiest. Hey, finally caught for the first time in a while. I'm starting to sell off some excess tech for upgrades and some form factor changes. I've been there, hoping to change to some 1 liter PCs and hopefully some custom build servers. Hey, I'm right there with you. Now I've been doing some wheeling and dealing myself too. My cluster's running on mini PCs Intel NUCs. Arguably, they're like the beefiest mini PCs you can get. But yeah, I'm there too. I've been shuffling some stuff around. I'm still gonna use my one use. Hopefully in a colo soon. But yeah, that is awesome. And then custom build server. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like that's gonna be my thing. Is where my compute is small and efficient in many, but my storage backend is large and powerful. That's how I feel like that's the way I think I'm going, and it's not by any. It's just the way that it's been working out. Is I can get my compute pretty good on some mini PCs. I mean, arguably, if you have one server, you can combine them all. What's the point of running multiple? Especially if you're running TrueNAS, you could have your VM. Well, maybe if you want to run VMs on there, or Proxmox, you can run ZFS on there. That'll work great, and you can combine them all in one. But I'm kind of like, okay, I want my compute, small, nimble, efficient, and not a ton, but kind of many, and then have my storage be always on, always available, and pretty powerful too. So, it's I think that's the way that things are starting to turn out for me. I'd love to get a few more mini PCs, but I have a requirement to rack mount them. I know that most people don't have that requirement. But I do because I like keeping things organized. Dude, Blockbog on Networks, how's it going? Was watching the chess match from Toronto and missed the start of the stream. Hey, it's all good. Thank you for the resub. Prime, 14 months, 1 year, 2 months. Thank you so much. Yeah, chess match Toronto. That sounds awesome. That sounds very interesting to me, for sure. Let's see. Why not live stream that? Oh, I'm missing the tie from that. I'm missing it because my chat is getting caught off. I do apologize. Let's see. Not Earth. I should Put on my glasses. Aerodrits. I have one U in a colo for the last 3 or 4 years. No issues. That is awesome. That is awesome. It's awesome to hear that. This is unknown territory for me. I mean, way back in the day, and I actually found photos. I was cleaning up all of my NAS, and I found all of these old photos, and I found the first server full rack that I ever racked in a colo. And I was like, I did pretty good on the cable management. Well, I mean, it came with arms and everything like that, but I racked the whole thing, top to bottom, network, everything. I mean, this was like, I don't want to date myself, but this is probably like 15, 20 years ago. And it looked like the same as like today. Data center tech, at least for looks, hasn't changed all that much. But maybe I'll share it at some point. But that is awesome. This is kind of new territory for me. I have racked one full rack once in a colo where we own the entire rack. But like I said, that was 15, 20 years ago. This is a little bit different. So I don't know what to expect. I gotta do some planning and gotta have a lot of contingency plans in place. Even though I could drive to this, colo, but that is last option. That is last option. So yeah, I already know some interesting challenges already because I was thinking through, and maybe you guys can help me at some point. I was thinking through, like with my one-use servers, it does have IPMI, but it has IPMI to where you have to mount an SMB share for the ISOs, which kind of stinks because, like, what if my servers are down and they don't have, an SMB share there locally, and I only have 3 servers and say they're all Proxmox nodes and they're all down. It's like, how do I get an ISO to it then? So these are things I'll have to figure out for sure. I don't want to use their Java client. I think with their Java client, I think I could mount, an ISO remotely. If it came down to it, I absolutely would. But there's a lot of things. Yeah, NetBoot XYZ would be awesome. But what if those servers aren't running at all? Like what if I have zero? Like what if I had servers shipped there and they were like, here's your IPMI IP address. I mean, I'm going to prep these ahead of time, so I won't be in that situation. But I could be in that situation if my cluster went down. Then it's like, what do I do? So, but yeah, interesting challenges that I'll have to figure out. That I can't just run downstairs and figure it out. This is like going to be 100% remote stuff. And then I'd love to do hybrid cloud and just like, hey, let me migrate some of these machines, physically from here to there and back and forth. So I'm excited because it's kind of learning new stuff. I would say learning a lot of new stuff, but with existing stuff that I already have. So pretty fun, zones and Kubernetes, and just saying like, hey, my home is a zone. Data center 1 is a zone. Don't schedule any pods in my home zone, schedule those pods in data center 1 zone, and seeing those pods only getting scheduled there. Pretty cool. That is if I split my, if I do split my cluster across. I don't think I'll do that. I think I'll keep them physically separated and virtually separated too. But a lot of cool stuff in the zone. Yeah, I'll be in the zone for sure. My pods will be in the zone. Speaking of zone, I have no good segue to say, hey, we are about out of time. Like I said, I started a little bit late. I started about 3:19. It's 4:24, so just on time for being late. This is the late on time ending period. So anyways, thank you guys all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you didn't know, maybe I didn't say at the beginning, I usually go roughly an hour. I was a little bit late starting, so I ended a little bit late. I do apologize if I didn't get to your comment. There were so many. If you have something you want to share or something that needs my attention, absolutely feel free to ping me in Discord. Oh, it's so loud. Ping me in Discord or ping me on Twitter or anywhere else. That's totally fine. If you aren't in Discord or have no idea what I'm talking about, Discord is a great little community we have. We have over 9,000 people who are in there that are super nice, super passionate about tech and know a lot of stuff about a lot of things. A lot more stuff than I know about a lot of things. Combined, I think we could probably solve the world's problems because there are a lot of smart and super nice people in there. So if you want to join, use !Discord, and you can get a link there. If you don't want to do that, just remember in your head, hey, Google Techno Tim Discord, and it should be the first result, or DuckDuckGo, or whatever search engine you use. So you can Google it with DuckDuckGo if you want to. It should turn up. They got pretty good SEO now. So thank you so much for joining. There were bits, there were resubs, there were new subs, there were lots of follows. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And again, thank you so much for tuning into my last video and sharing it with new people. That was awesome. I see a lot of new comments and a lot of new people and a lot of new subs on this last one. So I appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I will be back next Saturday. If you don't know when I'm streaming, you could sign up for alerts in Discord, or you can sign up for alerts down here. In Discord now, they have this new event thing, and they just added recurring events. So I have a recurring event turned on for the stream that'll just let people know when the event's happening. So anyways, that's a lot about logistics about the stream, so we should probably end it. So anyways, thank you so much for everything. Have a great rest of the Saturday. If you need something, ping me, and be good to each other. Take care, folks.